We're very excited today to have Bethany Johnson joining us here in our series of thought-leading webinars. She's an Internet Manager at RBM in Atlanta North, but she's a 15-year veteran. She's been a number of places in our industry at Jim Ellis Porsche, WFS Financial, top producer North America Internet Sales for Volkswagen, 2006 Salesperson of the Year. And we're very pleased to turn the microphone and the audience over to Bethany Johnson. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Charlie. Thanks for the compliment. Couple things. Just definitely this is great and an exciting time in the market right now. I know most of you, if not all of you, on this webinar are embracing and getting started and evolving with online reputation. Give you a quick background about RBM of Atlanta North. We are the newest Mercedes-Benz dealership in Metro Atlanta. We are very remote Metro Atlanta. We're about 20 miles north of what you would call the city. We are owned by an owner who's been in business, Mercedes-Benz, our sister store, 45 years. But our road has cows and failed businesses from the recession. Obviously, Mercedes-Benz did a great job of doing their homework, and we're in a very affluent area of Atlanta. But when the recession hit in October of 2007 is when we opened our doors. So when that occurred, my very forward-thinking and very digital GM and I decided we really needed to get digital. So what we did, next, I got to get used to the slides. What we did is we instilled 3 pillars. And basically these 3 digital pillars are from the customer's point of view, is what is the customer looking for? Well, being a new location and being remote, first, can we find you? As a customer, I need to be able to find you. The second pillar is what we're going to concentrate on today in this webinar, is do I like what you look like digitally? Do I want to do business with you? And third, do you have what I'm looking for? That could apply to service or sales. Do you have the vehicle I'm looking for? Do you have a service or body shop? So what we did first, in just review, is we increased our first page placement on the major players, such as Google, Yahoo, and Bing. You can see a sharp increase in our first page placement from nothing, being a new dealership, to 83% at the end of 2010. We further grew that to about 96% in 2011. So it was very imperative that the customers know where we were and know that we existed first and foremost. So moving on to the next pillar, which is the meat of this webinar, was pillar 2. Digitally, what do you look like? Do I want to do business with you? This is the new word of mouth, is the digital presence of the dealership. We implemented a process. The process helped us stay organized, and really the first step was to let the whole store know how serious the campaign was. This came from the GM all the way down. We had CSI bonuses from the OEM that we replaced with per positive review incentives. This is imperative that it comes from the top down. Next, we implemented a vendor tool to track and review the posts about the dealership, positive or negative. This way, we were on top of immediate responses so that we could capture everything and everybody was organized. For each new and positive CSI review that made the customer obviously a positive customer, or any visibly satisfied customer, sold or unsold, even if they just test drove, we politely requested a review. We followed up via email with templates, a landing page. I'll get into a little bit more detail and show examples of these later on, that made it super easy for the customer to post. So basically these templates, the links, and the icons that you'll see, we were targeting certain review sites. Next, we loaded all the templates on every sales and service rep's computer. It can be customized in literally no more than 3 clicks. It's customized to the customer, and regardless how many old school guys, girls, whatnot, everybody could use this, and it was just a click away for them to use. Next, we rotated the review sites. We made sure that we were saturating the sites and not putting all of our eggs in one basket. We concentrated on what the market was doing, where the customers were gravitating to, and so forth. We didn't aim for 5 stars. I know it's hard to say we didn't because we ended up accomplishing that, but we just really aimed to make sure that every customer was happy and asked for the positive reviews. If a negative review appeared, nothing to be scared about. We just made sure that we took our templates and we gathered positive reviews around that particular site, and we surrounded them with love, if you will. If you do not ask for the positive reviews, all you're going to get is the negative reviews. So we just made sure we were on top of that. We established online pages for sales reps to showcase their reviews. Not only did we have the buy-in from the top down, but from the team, and this lets them individualize themselves. Dealer Rater, I'll show you some examples of that, and really allow them to customize their tools. We also implemented them through their signatures, made it easily accessible no matter how savvy the sales or service rep was. And the reviews were included in website and marketing as well. We put them everywhere, so it was a consistent message to the consumer. Most importantly, we insisted on great customer service, and any less than happy customer, we identified them before they left the dealership and tried to make it right. So in concentrating on how to keep organized, we made sure we had a good pulse on the competition. This is an example of how we stayed organized, and we started with a benchmark, because any new project, that's always key to have a benchmark, then you know how to grow and which way to go. This is an example of the vendor tool that we used. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but there's a lot of vendors out there with these tools. They're very inexpensive, and it's just a matter of what you want to do as far as if you want to utilize them. But this was it was just a nice, easy dashboard, showed me very clearly that the competition was a little complacent, concentrated on the first page placements, as well as the diversification of the reviews, as well as the upward trend of gathering the reviews. So that helped me stay organized. The market trends are showing an absolute, and this probably isn't news for anyone on this webinar, but the market trends are showing a direct correlation between vehicle purchase and web page views. So the more time the customer spends online, more likely they are to buy. What I found to be interesting in the amount of time I've been in the industry is you will see in the next slide that third-party sites usage are dominating the customer's research. This year in Driving Sales Conference, there was a lot of good information about third-party vendors. Last year, it was more of a concentration of, every dealer at some point thinks they want to get away from third-party. But you can see the market has absolutely done an amazing shift. And the usage of automotive websites for the research of the customer is 35% OEM and then dominates at 65% third-party. And it's broken out into the major players, AutoTrader, Edmunds, KBB, and so forth. So you want to be where your customer is researching. The customers have a huge loyalty to the third-party sites. There's a lot of data on that coming out in the past year. And basically, the customers are embracing the data from the third-party sites as even more factual than if I put this information on my website or coming from the OEM. So there's a lot of loyalty and a lot of buy-in on the third-party websites. So what are customers researching? Well, when you look at new and used vehicle shoppers and why they're using the internet, pretty obvious one is the top one, is they're researching prices. They're comparing models, and then it slowly kind of trickles down. There's a huge amount of information out there, and they're really, really concentrating on and grasping all of it. They're looking at exterior photos, locating a vehicle, and that would be your inventory feed that I talked about a little bit at Driving Sales last year, as well as car reviews for the vehicle itself, its reliability, safety, and then tools such as trade-in values. Incentives is heavily weighted on the new car side, and then the funnel narrows down into locate a dealer and request a price. So what is that saying? Customers are once again pushing more through the door than what the past few years they've been doing. Their initial contact isn't naturally an email or phone calls. So they're coming in with this information, they're reading your reviews. And I thought this was amazing, 7 of the 11 hours spent researching used vehicles occurs on third-party sites. So that's huge. Let's see. Next, where do you want to be? Well, I want to be where my customers are researching. So as you saw from the pie graph with all the different players, there's a variety of where you want to be. And of course you want to be everywhere, right? So very easy to get going. And I used Edmunds as an example. You can see here we've got our Edmunds example of our online reviews. Now, we are Mercedes-Benz, and I know you guys with Ford and Chevy and Honda, and you guys can just totally kill it on numbers of reviews, and I think that's great. We have 78 reviews on Edmunds. My closest Mercedes competitor, I think, is at 5 or 6. So definitely complacency has been my assistant, but I want to be where my customer is looking. Basically, 78% of customers trust their peer recommendations from consumer review sites. We really took a look at the model of Amazon and how people are really embracing the peer evaluation. And when we started gathering online reviews back in 2008, early 2009, and we've just grown it from there. The complete perception of the customer, we've always heard perception is reality, and it really is, because these customers, their perception of your dealership will quickly become your online reputation reality, because once they read it, they view it as fact. Next, I'm going to move on to Google Places. Google Places has really evolved. Back when we did our case study back in 2010, our dealership had about 220 plus online reputation positive reviews, and they really jumped out compared to my competition. They stacked up. It was first page placement, and obviously Google has continued to evolve, but even back when they removed the third-party reviews, and everybody was nervous and panicked and upset, we still stood out. We still had over 100 5-star ratings, positive ratings, versus our competition. Because they had put all their eggs in one basket, they lost the traction, if you will, with Google Places. And what does this do? Everybody's using Google Places now as the yellow pages, so they can find us, and right there is some happy information about RBM North. Right now we are dominating the positive reviews across all the major sites right now for Metro Atlanta Mercedes-Benz. So it's an ongoing process, and it's a journey, not a destination. We continue to grow. Next, DealerRater. DealerRater is a wonderful, wonderful tool. They offer some programs depending on who else in your market is signed up. When our competition got word of the press we were receiving with online reviews back in 2009, they did a great job of gathering online reviews with DealerRater. And then when the Google Places dropped off the third party, they lost that traction. So we really continue to diversify ourselves by including DealerRater, but also spreading the love everywhere. We targeted a variety of consumer-friendly websites. Basically, once again, where is our customer researching? DealerRater is great because here are the personalized websites of the sales reps. You can see them there, and they naturally just go in by order, and it's very easy coding. Along those lines, DealerRater does a really great job of integrating with your Facebook. Those of you that have embraced social media, kudos. And this is with a couple clicks you can get this implemented on your DealerRater or on your Facebook page. If you have any questions, you can contact your DealerRater rep, but it's very nice and very always positive. Likewise, like we talked about in the process, we implemented our positive websites and our positive reviews everywhere. So not only is it on our Facebook, not only is it out on Google and the major players, but we also integrated it in our website. You can see here, this is our website. This is an OEM website by MotorTrack that we have integrated the dealer rater page and coding as well. Once again, always your most current, only positive will show here. And I have it listed under About Us and Testimonials, just where our customers would research. Once again, the same information on a third-party website is the customer's much more loyal to that information. So just make sure you're putting it as many places as you think your customer is researching. So how do you make it easy for the customer to post? Well, we can see here with the holiday shopping, a huge uptick of online shopping and research online, whether it's a tablet or a smartphone. So my answer is think like a customer. Mr. Customer, do you spend time on your smartphone? If they're ticking away looking at safety ratings on their phone while you're pulling a car around or chatting with them, let's offer them QR codes. What we did is we made some table tents or cards, if you will, integrated not only our logo, but we also integrated a QR code that you'll see here. And basically, I know it's kind of small. I'm happy to share it with you guys. But it's a very nice email. It's on a landing. It guides them to a landing page, which you'll see here shortly. And it's a vanity URL, Mercedes-Smiles, with all the websites that they want to see. So another way is, how do you make it easy to post? If they spend their time on the browser, offer a landing page. Our landing page was created with a vanity URL, something easy to remember. We also have Mercedes-Benz that fully embraces the iPad. So most of our sales reps have iPads on their desk. So while the customer is waiting for a gas or clean, it's very easy to put a shortcut on your iPad and drive them to this landing page. You'll see here the landing page has icons of the websites that we're targeting. And I do have the ability to shuffle these around. If I'm not getting as much play on, for example, cars.com, I can move it around so it's more gravitating to the human eye and so forth. And we do this to surround things with love if it's negative, or to just get a really good diversification of the online reviews. If the customer more likely embraces email, we're going to offer them links and that vanity URL. So it's a pretty easy template. You can customize it as you wish. Sales rep can get their photo and everything integrated. Just really simple, very personal, very laid back, and it definitely works. In summary, the dashboard tool that you'll see here is, once again, a vendor provided this to us, and it gives me a really quick synopsis, almost like your dashboard on Google Analytics, of where everything's coming from, where it's going, how diversified, and the data behind it helps guide me on where we need to concentrate. Now, what we've done for our best practices should work for you, but you can obviously tweak this as you wish. There's a lot of great tools out there, and I know my GM is always asking me what the ROI is on the money I'm spending. So I would say, to keep it simple, your need-to-haves are obviously buy-in from the top. You need to make sure the GM, the GSM, all understand the benefits to the dealership. These customers are walking in and asking for Adam Smith because they read that Adam Smith is super patient with people, and the closing ratio is higher, and they're using Google as their yellow pages, and really get that buy-in from the top, and then the team buy-in. Once a customer comes in and asks for so-and-so, they obviously immediately see the reasons that they need to start really getting even more reviews because they're out there. Establish a process, like we said about the process earlier. Really stick with it, keeping everybody organized. If they break it down into baby steps, and follow that. Load the templates for the team. Show them how to use it. Be available to offer them any assistance. And track the monthly statistics. You don't need a tool to do this. You can see this by clicking on the landing page, or if you don't have a landing page, using links to Google, Edmunds, whatnot, and really tracking just a simple Excel spreadsheet and see where you need to concentrate on and how you're doing on your stars and so forth. But if you do have some money in the budget, or you do have that kind of need for extras, I really enjoyed having the ability to rotate the sites on a landing page. You can do that without a tool, but you can rotate your links, and that was nice so we could really diversify. The personalized pages on DealerRater are great. They're the only ones I know so far that have done a great job with that. And the tools that you saw on the dashboard previous, those will help you gather the data, and it'll save you a little bit of time. And those are nice to have. But most importantly, just back to basics, is insist on great customer service every time, whether the customer buys or is a be-back or service or whatnot.
Well, well, go ahead.
That's it. Any questions? I know that's a lot of information.
It was a lot of information and very well presented, I might add. We ask speakers to come in and maybe offer around 20 minutes or so, and boy, you sure filled that 20 minutes with a lot of good information. Are there any vendors that you want to share the name of? It seems like you're holding back, and I don't want you to feel like you're obligated to name names or not. I just want to give you that opportunity.
I guess I'm more, in the driving sales format of not recommending, but I absolutely, I will tell you this: the dashboard that you saw here, the tool we were using is Xterra's. We are no longer with them, but the tool was great. It was very reasonable. We're doing more of that in-house now. And there's a lot of great consultants out there, and they grow, and we all know each other, and we're all forward-thinking. And I think depending on the needs of the dealership would decide on whether they go, with a driving sales or a PCG, or depending on where their holes are to complement their portfolio. But I would name those. And of course, and I'm not saying this because it's ResponseLogix, but we love the ResponseLogix tool. It's just really, it's like having a sales rep in addition to the sales reps working the queue. So.
Okay, well, as much as I'd like to hear you gush about that will be where I'll slow you down just a little bit so it doesn't seem too self-serving, but I appreciate that. And I was getting ready for this trip that I've got planned going forward and just going through some of the information, and oh my gosh, over 750 different digital solutions out there for dealers, and it's just got to be, it's getting more and more complicated every day in terms of not necessarily just what you want to do, but what you're going to use to accomplish that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of choices, whether it's website, SEO, SEM, social, depending on if you have just a couple of pockets to fill or a new dealership or a remote dealership. I really have a passion for, I guess because I've been not only in the trenches here, but I've been on the Highline side where there was no digital. There was no, Porsche customers won't be looking online. And I really have enjoyed in the past 12 to 15 years of taking something and growing it into embracing digital. And it's not coming. It's already here. So I would definitely start with a consultant and then, network with the vendors and go from there.
Well, and I've got to jump in because I'm not disagreeing with you when you make a statement like that. It's just, my gosh, the internet has been around for 17 years now. So to say that somebody's not going to use it, where now the generation of buyers have only known it to exist. I mean, we're so well beyond the point of it being new and different.
Yes, definitely. Highline's a little slower, I think. From at least my experience, is because of the loyalty to the brand and because of maybe the demographics with the customer.
Right.
But that's changed completely in the past 7-8 years. There was just a total flip in that.
Yes. Well, before we carry on too long, Jeremy, we usually we have some questions from the audience. I want to encourage that if you're listening, that you can certainly ask questions of Bethany in the presentation that she gave. Do we have any, Jeremy?
A couple of people inquired, I believe, about the Xterra's solution and getting analytics on the competition and their reviews as well as their own. So I think Bethany answered that. And just
I can elaborate a little bit on that if you would like.
Sure, please.
Basically, the competition, the lined graph that you saw, they were using a tool called Compete.com, which is interesting in how they configure the data and so forth. So you can also, without having a dedicated vendor, you can also use Compete.com.
Okay. Jeremy, more questions?
No questions, but a couple comments. Just thanking you very much for a great presentation, Bethany.
Thanks. I'm not a public speaker, but I'm getting some practice.
Yes, you are. And then we alluded to a change perhaps in your career at the beginning of the conversation. Do you want to talk more about that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I've done had a lot of fun here at RBM North, and it's kind of been my baby since we opened our doors, and I'm super excited to join the team of vAuto. I'll be starting training and so forth next week, and it's going to be an amazing opportunity for me to assist dealerships on also the data side as far as the vAuto products and what that can do to complement and make your life easier. So I'm excited. I start that next week, which is why I listed my Yahoo, so that will follow me around, and happy
Yes,
to
it will.
questions.
Well, I just took the opportunity to jump onto LinkedIn before we began the discussion and saw the new listing already. So at least I feel better that I'm not far behind on some of the changes that are happening so quickly around our industry.
No, I'm just a planner and way ahead.
Well, one of the things that we talked about too is, we're leading up to, about just over a month out from NADA, one of the large conventions of the year. Certainly, that's been the traditional convention. We've seen some of the digital conventions certainly taking off. Digital Dealer being one you've referenced, Driving Sales. I was certainly involved with the J.D. Power Internet Conference. So we see those almost as kind of a point in time where change, or whether it's new products coming out or people like yourself changing careers and stuff. So it's always an exciting time.
Absolutely.
Now, will you be at NADA?
I will not. I will be in training, and I went to NADA last year. At RBM, we rotate managers that get to go, so I was super excited to do San Francisco. I'm not a huge fan of Vegas. It's a good town, but so I was excited.
And you have to say that under your breath around car dealers, that's for sure.
I know. I'm definitely in the minority, but I of course, was in Vegas at. I was very honored to be the only female speaker at Driving Sales this last year, as well as a winner of the case study the year before, and Digital Dealer in Orlando. So I'm okay skipping Vegas, but I hope to see you guys at another conference in 2012 for sure.
Well, we'll look forward to that. Once again, we thank you so very much for sharing that information, and it's always great to hear from somebody that's not just talking theory, but has some practical experience with both the data and the results in putting processes in place. So it's very exciting. And encourage everyone that's listening really to take heart of the things that Bethany has talked about and certainly put them to practice. And I also enjoy the concept, the difference between not only luxury to non-luxury dealerships, but also, in a more urban setting versus a more rural or remote setting.
Yes. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Jeremy. It was my honor.
Good. Well, hey, this webinar series that we have, we're going to notch it up a little bit. Jeremy and I have been working on some ideas. We're going to try and do one a week leading up to NADA as I travel around. I'll actually be in Detroit next week as the North American International Auto Show kicks off on Monday. To show the press the cars on Monday and Tuesday. And then Automotive News has their World Congress beginning on Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday. So we'll be out there for that, and we're going to try and gather some good thought leaders, if not industry personalities, and have a conversation with them as we look forward to 2012 is already kicking off with a pretty strong year as we finished 2011 relatively strong in the auto industry, continuing to grow. And we want to share both insight and ideas with you here on these webinars. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us and look forward to presenting more in the weeks ahead as we lead up to NADA and beyond.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a great New Year. Happy New Year to everyone.